koutou katoa, nau mai, hara mai ki te ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, Te Korimako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. Well, he is a respected name in basketball and community leadership here in Aotearoa with over 40 years involved in the game as a player, coach and mentor. He's helped shape pathways in basketball for young people and given back to communities through sport. No mai, hara mai, Dwayne Tamatea. Awesome to have you on the show, brother.
Tēnā koe, brother. Good to be here.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Been looking forward to our little kōrero here today. But hey, before we get started, ko wai koe, no he koe, just a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
All right, kia ora, bro. Te koro haupo te waka ko wai Aotearoa, ko orimo piko nā marae, ko Ngāti Tūkarangi nā hapu, ko Taranaki te iwi, ko Dwayne Tamatea taku ingoa. Yeah, born and bred from around the coast, Opanake. Grew up there, went to primary school, high school, and then ventured to New Plymouth once started playing a little bit of ball, and then varied over to Gizzy after the BP Bears stint, and then been back to Taranaki for about 5 years now.
Awesome, awesome. Now, you mentioned being brought up in Opunake and Oreme Piko Pa and whatnot. Now, I've heard that Opunake is, like, for a little town, really punch above their weight in basketball. So how did basketball kind of first come about and first come into your life?
Probably there was a guy that taught us at primary school. His name was Mike Norris, and he was a basketballer. And we used to go out in the intervals and lunchtimes. His nickname was Slab. And so we used to have shooting competitions for peanut slabs. I'd have to walk past the shop on the way to school to buy my peanut slab because I lost. So that was probably the first stint at primary school. And then at high school, we were lucky enough to have Gary Carnahan was a guidance counsellor out there. And he ran all the basketball, and Te Kauhoi Wano. He was the Māori teacher in Opunake when we were there. So it was surfing or basketball, and all the bros went surfing, and I went to the gym and played basketball. But I can remember when I was in, I think, the fifth form. Fifth form, we called it back then. Te Kauhoi was looking for a coach to coach the junior basketball team. And so he said to me, bro, you coach it and he'll be the manager. So I ended up coaching our junior team in the Taranaki champs, and we won.
Wow.
Jason Lauman and all them were playing in it. Yeah. So that was the first stint, and people were always because around the coast, and you had to play every sport, right? I played rugby, I played league, I played volleyball just to go on the trips. Because we had to, for the numbers, we had to sort of play all the sports. But I played everything. Cricket, I played cricket. In summer. We just had to play everything, and those were sort of the early days of those. Mike Norris, Gary Carnahan, Cowboy. Yeah, those are sort of the dudes that got us into it.
Some pretty cool names there, TK and the likes, God bless him, and Gary Carnahan obviously doing some really good things. Now, as a, with that early experience as a young, player coming through, what kind of kept you hooked on the game?
I don't know. We just played it all the time. Even when it wasn't sort of the teams that were training, all the bros, we would just go to the gym. Gary gave me a key. I had my own key to the Opunake High School gym, and we'd just go in there and put our big boom box down the end, and we'd just play ball and have some fun. And later we'd get the mini tramp out like everybody probably did. It was probably, though, it wasn't something you could master easy. It was always a challenge. Like basketball, you got to do so many things, and you couldn't really master it. And I was playing first 15 rugby as well, and I didn't really like because there was rucking back in that day, right? And I was the halfback, and I could see our locks and that, just standing and rucking people, and I think that sort of not put me off, but I kept playing everything once once until I had to choose until it clashed.
Yeah.
So once it sort of clashed, I was like, okay, I've got to pick.
Yeah, nice.
I did it
Now
until, sorry, bro.
Because you played for the BP Bears. Now I remember back in the early days, I remember you playing actually, and man, what a atmosphere it was back in the early 90s. What did that time kind of mean to you and your development in the game?
Yeah, I was probably lucky enough that the year before that they had a second div comp in '92, and New Plymouth had a team then, and I played in that, and we won that. We won the national champs in the YMCA, and I was actually getting time, so I had good experience of on the court. And then once you get picked in the National League team, obviously you got to pay your dues, right? And you sort of sit on the bench, and practices were great. You know, I was trying to guard Willie Banks back then when he was young and the first import that come out here, and would be scrimmaging at training, and it was like first to sort of 11 or 13, and Willie Banks would get 8 of the 13, and everyone's looking at me, bro, tell me to play defense. But so all that stuff was good. That stuff was good about the training, and you're playing against better people and getting better. But I just wasn't getting court time because obviously you had to pay your dues, and I was playing behind people like Willie Banks, Steve Campbell, John Carr. They were like national team players. But the experience was great. We were like treated like royalty. 3,000 people packing the TSB. I can remember the first time that I went to go sub on and play, and I was sitting on the bench waiting to sub in, and my leg was shaking. I can remember my mouth was dry. And D Shaw came because he was subbing in too, and he put his hand on my leg and goes, "You'll be all right, bro. You'll be sweet." Yeah. Playing in front of those many people, that was pretty freaky.
Good times.
Yeah.
Packed. Yeah. I remember those days back in the days where they have those things they used to go around like to make that noise. And all that.
Yeah.
Good times. Good times.
Days, yeah. And just the experience of going away with, I was 21, I think I was 21, 22. Just being in that environment, going away on every weekend, you know, you were sort of a professional, but still had to work.
Yeah.
You got this little grey envelope when you went away on the road. All the young boys were like, yeah, stoked, you know, sort of Kai money and that sort of stuff. And yeah, so there was like Cowboy and Jeff Niwa and Malcolm Opie. We were all the young dudes. Yeah, it was cool. It was great. Those were the good old days of Taranaki basketball.
Oh, 100%. I remember those good old days very, very well. Well, whānau, we're having an awesome kōrero here with Dwayne Tamatea about his basketball journey. Make sure to stay tuned. We're going to go to a short break and be back shortly. Kia ora wānau, welcome back to Te Ao Hākinakina. We are here with Dwayne Tamatea, who's a basketball fanatic. Now, Dwayne, you've been involved with the game for a long time, over 40 years now. How do you think the game has shaped you as the person you are today?
Wow, that's a pretty good question. That's a freaky question. It's my life, right? As my wife says, she knew what she was getting into. So she's used to me going coaching and away on trips, and it's just about service and giving back. I just love the game, right? So you just give back to the kids, and my kids played. My daughter played a little bit when she was probably from 10 to 16. My son played from 4 to he's still playing now. So I used to coach it's what my wife used to say to me, you coach everybody else's kid, but you haven't coached your own. So I sort of started that when they were a little bit older. But yeah, no, it gives you great, like, you can meet so many people. I've met so many people, been to so many tournaments, so many places. Yeah, no, it is who I am, and it just teaches you great things about relationships, bit of discipline. I can remember first coaching, and I wasn't too great. I always yell at the ref, and you finally sort of grow up a little bit and stay disciplined, and you learn that if you don't yell at the ref, they'll give you that 50-50 call down the stretch. But it's not. It's been great. I love it.
Awesome.
I'll keep doing it until I can't.
Yeah, that's awesome. We need more people like you in our sports, and in particular in basketball. Now, you've obviously had success as both a player and a coach, even winning national titles. What do those achievements kind of represent for you now?
I suppose the playing one, 92 and 92, it's like something they can't take away from you. And then the people that you did it with, like we had a reunion a couple of years ago, DB Raw's reunion, and just about everybody came. And you're friends for life. No matter whether you win a championship or not, the teams you're in, you're still sort of friends for life. The playing one was pretty special because we were down. I think everyone talks about it. We were down 9 with 1:14 to go, and took it to overtime and won in overtime in the YMCA where it was packed. So the playing one is because they're very rare, very rare. There's not like a lot of people that have won championships. And then the coaching one, that was the Taranaki under 23s. I think I'd been back probably a year, maybe 2 years. And the coach that was supposed to coach them, I think, pulled out, and they asked me if I'd do it. And I'll obviously, I'll do it. If no one else can do it, I'll do it. That one was pretty special because that was a cool bunch of dudes that were that I could relate to, because they were the bench sort of warmers in the Taranaki Airs. And so said to them, now that this is your time, this is what you've been training for all year, now you get to go and play, because you're the star, you're the superstar in this team. And it was the Caleb Smiler, Benji Freeman, Ben Carlos Smith, Baxter Fenwick. They were sort of all on the Airs bench when the Airs unfortunately lost that game in the semi in Auckland. But we went straight from there a week after to 23s, and we just had a good ride. It was all about just play ball, just have some fun and play ball, because they were good. Those dudes were good. And I was just guiding them.
That's no mean feat there, winning those national titles. That's for sure. But who have been some of your role models? Like, obviously coming through, the basketball, and there's obviously role models or influencers. People that have influenced your journey and your life and the game. Who are some of those people?
Yeah, well, I suppose Frank Russell would have to be one. He was our coach in 92. And even before that, when I think I was in the 7th form, and he was coaching the National League team here then, and I used to come up and train as a young fella, but I broke my wrist. I couldn't train with them. And in that team, there was like Ralph Adams, Warren Adams, their half brother. They were real cool dudes. Matt McLean, he was a good point guard. Frank Russell's probably one. Head coach McKean for a couple of years. He was dag. He was he was so cool. He was like, I asked him one day, when I came back, I said, Coach, why didn't you play me? He goes, I picked you. I could only pick 12 people, but I picked you.
Awesome.
Yeah, BV, Byron Vaitoe. Back in the early days, Tyrone Brown. I spent a little bit of time with Tyrone Brown, point guard, who was here as an import. I spent a little bit of time with him. He was cool. Taught you heaps. Just went and trained in the mornings, and still friends with Darren Shaw and John Carr, and all them are still in town.
Awesome.
Gary Carnahan's probably at school. He was probably the influencer of playing. I can remember Opunaki High School winning. We made the Nationals. We beat Francis Douglas on the buzzer. Our big lock in the first 15 hit a jump shot from the top of the key. He's probably never shot one before. And it went in, and we won in the buzzer, to go to Nationals. And Gary Carnahan was in the passenger seat of my car on the way home, and I got a speeding ticket. He goes, I won't tell anybody.
Oh, crack.
Yeah. Crack
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Nah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Still even a few. There's Warren Osborne, Bonesy. He's lately, like the last sort of 5 years, connected back with him. Because I was in Gizzy for 25 years. I had a great boss at Tūranga Health, where I worked for a Māori health organisation, and we ran programs in the community. Aotearoa. And I saw him one day at a rugby game in Gizzy when I first got there, and I said, "You got any jobs?" He goes, "Yeah, come see me on Monday." And we turned this asthma education contract into a basketball. He bought 2 hoops, got a car and a trailer, and I used to go around to all the schools in Gizzy and coach kids and teach them. The lady would teach them about asthma. That was
wow.
to Tūranga Health, the Māori health provider, and then it just soared from there, and I ended up being the service delivery manager for 15 years.
Wow, what a journey.
It was cool. Even in Gizzy with the Rising Suns, their YMCA only had seats on one side, and they would fill up every Saturday night, 500 people, $5 to get in.
Awesome.
Awesome. The cool old days.
Man, that's cool. What an awesome time spent there over in Turanganui-a-Kiwa, and also, with those role models throughout your life. Now we're just going to go to a quick break, and we'll be back shortly to have more of a kōrero with Dwayne Tamatea. Welcome back, Mano. We're having a kōrero here with Dwayne Tamatea about his awesome basketball journey. Now, I understand, Dwayne, that you've created an initiative, the Grind Academy, is it? And been involved with the Taranaki Basketball Draft League. What inspired those, and what impact have you seen?
Yeah. So we were sitting down one day on a road trip when I was helping the Airs, when I was assistant coach of the Airs, me and Carlin, and we were sitting down and we said, why don't we do something for in the summer for all the men that don't play in the Airs but could, and give something for them. And then we sort of said, well, we can't do it just for men because that's not fair. And so we said, let's do a draft league for men and women. And so put this draft league together, went out to the community and said, who wants to play? You got to register. Within a week, I think we had 35 men. The ladies took a little bit longer, but we ended up with 30. I think there was 8 in the team, maybe 9 in some, 4 teams. And then we put them all in a team and had a round robin and went round the maunga. Went out to some sponsors and said, can you sponsor a week? Yeah, cost us much. Yep, they were in straight away. JD Hickman and Brendan Beck and Scotty from Stratford and the Langtons down the coast. They were like, yep, we're in. And I just all fell together and just gave everybody a bit each, the refs, the score bench, the teams, and we just went, and it was primo. And then we were sitting down one night, Jerome was like, oh man, there's heaps of kids at school that don't know how to play, or they want to learn how to play, or even in the area, the kids that were missing out on the rep teams. Let's do something for them. And I'm like, well, you ain't going to coach them. Who's going to coach them? He goes, well, you are. So he made this logo and we put it out there, and we thought, okay, we'll have a go. And we put out a 4-week block and it filled up with at least 20 kids a session, because that's probably all you could have. And then now it's gone to sort of 4 things in our Grind Academy: is the draft league, a USA tour, some local workshops or sessions, and I think we've got about 6 or 7 teams going to go to Hoop Nations from
Awesome.
under 12s right through to the open men. But we got 10 kids from 17, 18 going to Houston, Dallas in November for a tour just to expose them to American colleges or high schools.
Wow, that's awesome, man! What an awesome accomplishment you guys have done there with and good that you're thinking too, not only of those elite basketball players, but those that are just on the fringes. So important, and that, I suppose that kind of goes into my next question. Like looking at what you're doing now, what kind of keeps you motivated, and what's kind of next for you?
Yeah, well, as I said to you before, I just had my knee replacement, so I'm off for a little bit. So I've got heaps of time. I've probably been lucky. I've really only had 2 jobs, been employed by 2 organisations for the last, as Tūranga Health, I was 20 years. For the last 25 years, I've been at Pinnacle, and I've said to them that if you take basketball away from me, I'll be no good to you. I don't care about time. Like 8 to 5 doesn't mean jack to me, I can work or do the work, but if you take basketball away from me, I'll be no good to you. So I've been lucky that I've had that, but it's probably now the thinking now is probably as can this be full time, or can this be obviously you got to make, you got to keep the roof over your head and kai on the whānau table, but is this the time now to make that the opportunity to, I always wanted to coach at highest level as possible. This might be the time now to start thinking, and still only youngish.
Yeah.
Is that the opportunity that's what I'm sort of thinking about now? But we've got all these kids that want to learn, and man, there's some skillful kids. There's some great kids out there that you would know turn league that. There's some talented kids out there. They just need a little bit of structure, need a little bit of discipline, but they've got some good skills, and it's going to be interesting, I reckon, in the next 3 to 5 years, and
awesome
what's going to be like. But
that's cool, man. Well, hey, thanks so much for coming on the show. Like, to hear your journey is just amazing. It's clear that your journey is it's more than just basketball. It's awesome to have you back from Tūranganui-a-Kiwa back under your maunga, to support your people, your community, and the game that you love. I really appreciate that you've taken the time out to share your journey with us here on the show, and we wish you nothing but the very best moving forward.
Awesome, bro. Thanks for inviting me, and it's great to be back in Taranaki. The last 5 years where you've seen all the different things that have happened, and like Matatini, like I can remember we hosted Matatini in Tūranga, and man, being able to help and do something at it here and watching that pōhiri was like, that was freaky and wicked to be home and to be Taranaki. Kia ora, bro. Thanks for inviting me, and we'll have another chat another day about something different, I suppose. And
heaps. 100%. Kia ora, brother.
Kia ora, bro. Ka kite.